The evergreen forests of Washington state have always held secrets, their towering pines and thick undergrowth creating a world where the line between the known and the unknown blurs. For generations, these woods have been a place of both beauty and mystery, drawing hikers, hunters, and those seeking solitude. But sometimes, the silence of the forest is broken by something far more unsettling. Yesterday, that silence was shattered when a discovery was made that may finally bring closure to a tragedy that's haunted not just a family, but an entire nation. Deep beneath the moss and fallen leaves, investigators unearthed evidence that could answer questions lingering for months. In a remote, hard-to-reach area near Leavenworth, law enforcement officials and forensic experts discovered human remains. Early indications suggest they belong to Travis Decker, the man whose name has become synonymous with heartbreak and horror in this region. Decker, a 31-year-old father from Wenatchee, was accused of the unthinkable, murdering his 3 young daughters. The case sparked a desperate, months-long search across the unforgiving terrain of the Cascades, with police, volunteers, and even strangers combing the wilderness for any sign of him. The discovery of these remains marks a somber turning point in the investigation. For some, it may offer a sense of closure, a chance to begin healing. For others, it is a painful reminder of the innocent lives lost and the darkness that can hide even in the most beautiful places. As forensic teams meticulously examine the scene and work to confirm the identity of the remains, the small community waits in anxious anticipation. Families gather, neighbors check in on one another, and everyone hopes for answers that might finally bring a measure of peace. The location of the discovery, not far from where the initial crime occurred, suggests that Decker may never have truly left the shadow of his actions. The proximity raises new questions about his final days and the choices he made as the search closed in. For the grieving family and the wider public, this discovery is more than just a development in a criminal case. It is a critical step toward understanding the full scope of the tragedy. As the community comes together in vigils and quiet reflection, they seek not only justice but also the hope that healing can finally begin. On May 30th, in a quiet suburban neighborhood, what should have been a routine custody visit turned into a nightmare that would haunt an entire community. The day began like any other, with the promise of a weekend spent together, a father and his 3 young daughters looking forward to simple joys and shared memories. But beneath the surface, something was about to go terribly wrong. Travis Decker arrived to pick up his daughters, Peyton, 9, Evelyn, 8, and Olivia, 5, smiles on their faces as they left their mother's home. The girls, clutching their favorite toys, waved goodbye, expecting a weekend filled with laughter, games, and the warmth of their father's love. No one could have imagined that this would be the last time their mother would see them. As the hours passed and the sun dipped below the horizon, an uneasy feeling crept in. When Travis failed to return the girls at the agreed time, panic set in. The mother's calls went straight to voicemail, her messages unanswered. Each minute felt like an eternity. Desperation grew with every unanswered call. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening, and hope quickly faded as the reality of the situation began to sink in. The mother's heart raced as she clung to her phone, praying for any sign of her daughters. Unable to wait any longer, she contacted the authorities. Her frantic search for her children triggered a full-scale investigation. Law enforcement officers arrived swiftly, canvassing the neighborhood and questioning anyone who might have seen the family. The community, shaken by the news, mobilized instantly, determined to help in any way they could. Within hours, missing children posters appeared on lampposts and bulletin boards. Social media lit up with the girls' photos, their innocent faces shared by thousands. The state watched in horror as the hours ticked by, each moment bringing more fear and uncertainty. Investigators worked tirelessly, tracing Decker's movements through digital footprints, surveillance footage, and witness accounts. Every clue was scrutinized, every lead followed, as they pieced together a timeline of the family's last known whereabouts. The search for answers became a race against time. The question on everyone's mind echoed through the community. Where were the children? Volunteers combed through parks, wooded areas, and abandoned buildings, refusing to give up hope. The sense of urgency was palpable, and the fear of what might be found weighed heavily on everyone's hearts. The failure to return the girls set off a chain of events that would forever change the lives of everyone involved. Families clung to each other, neighbors gathered for candlelight vigils, and the community united in grief and determination. The pain of not knowing was almost unbearable. As night fell and search parties fanned out with flashlights, the community braced for the worst. The search for answers had become a desperate race against time, and the hope of a safe return was all that kept them going. The search ended in heartbreak on June 2nd, when the bodies of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia were found at Rock Island Campground. The peaceful site became the scene of a devastating crime, confirming the community's worst fears. Autopsies revealed the girls died by manual asphyxiation, a brutal personal act that shocked the nation. The investigation shifted from a missing persons case to a triple homicide, with Travis Decker as the only suspect. His vehicle was found, but he had vanished into the wilderness. The community mourned 3 young lives stolen in the most violent way imaginable. The campground, once a place of joy, was now marked by tragedy. The search for Decker intensified as the community struggled to comprehend a father's ultimate betrayal. The deaths of the Decker sisters shattered Wenatchee, Leavenworth, and beyond. Grief swept through the community, uniting neighbors, classmates, and strangers in mourning. Memorials and vigils sprang up, offering support to the girls' mother and family. The tragedy sparked conversations about mental health, parental trust, and child protection. Parents held their children tighter, and the community vowed to never forget the sisters. The manhunt for Decker became a collective mission, with people sharing his photo and reporting tips. The focus was on accountability, not vengeance, ensuring justice for the girls. The community's grief transformed into determination, fueling the search for answers. In the face of darkness, unity and compassion became their greatest strengths. With Decker identified as the prime suspect, law enforcement wasted no time in launching one of the largest manhunts in recent Washington history. Teams of officers, some with years of experience tracking fugitives, mobilized quickly, converging on the vast and unforgiving wilderness of central Washington. The urgency was palpable. Every hour that passed increased the risk that Decker could slip further away, or worse, disappear entirely. The Cascade Mountains, with their jagged peaks and endless forests, presented a formidable challenge. Remote trails snaked through thick underbrush, and the misty, unpredictable weather made visibility poor. Searchers had to contend not only with the terrain, but also with the possibility that Decker, familiar with the outdoors, could use the landscape to his advantage. The U.S. Marshal Service took command, coordinating with local sheriffs, state police, and even federal agencies. Daily briefings were held at makeshift command posts, where maps were marked with possible sightings and escape routes. The scale of the operation was unprecedented for the region. K-9 units combed the woods, their handlers urging them on through thick brush. Overhead, helicopters and drones scanned the treetops and ravines, searching for any sign of movement. Meanwhile, Decker's face was broadcast on every local news channel and shared widely on social media, turning him into a household name almost overnight. Authorities offered a substantial reward for information leading to Decker's capture. The public responded in droves, tips flooded hotlines, and detectives worked around the clock to follow up on every lead, no matter how small. Yet, despite the outpouring of information, Decker remained a step ahead. As days turned into weeks, the search expanded beyond Washington's borders. Highway checkpoints were set up, and alerts were sent to law enforcement agencies across the country and even to the Canadian border in case Decker tried to flee internationally. Despite relentless effort, Decker seemed to vanish without a trace. Searchers found abandoned campsites and empty trails, but no concrete evidence of his whereabouts. Frustration and fatigue began to set in among the teams. Theories swirled among investigators and the public alike. Had Decker managed to escape the search perimeter, or had he fallen victim to the harsh elements? Some wondered if he had help, while others believed he might be hiding in plain sight. As the weeks dragged on, the manhunt gradually shifted from an all-out search to a tense waiting game. Law enforcement scaled back their presence in the woods, focusing instead on gathering intelligence and waiting for a crucial breakthrough that could finally bring Decker to justice. Yet, through it all, the community and law enforcement refused to give up hope. Candlelight vigils were held, and town halls brought people together, united in their determination to see the case resolved and justice served. The search for Decker showcased unprecedented cooperation among local, state, and federal agencies. The Chelan County Sheriff's Office, Washington State Patrol, U.S. Marshals, and FBI formed a powerful coalition. Daily briefings and real-time intelligence sharing ensured no detail was missed. The United States Border Patrol and Forest Service secured escape routes and provided terrain expertise. Unified press conferences reassured the public that every resource was being used. This collaboration was key to tracking Decker and supporting the grieving community. Together, law enforcement demonstrated the strength of a united front in the face of tragedy. On September 18th, the search ended not with an arrest, but with the discovery of human remains south of Leavenworth. Preliminary evidence points to Travis Decker, but official identification is pending. The area was secured, and forensic teams began the painstaking process of gathering evidence. If confirmed, Decker's death means he'll never stand trial, leaving the question of motive unanswered. For the family and community, it's a difficult, unsatisfying conclusion. Justice in the courtroom will never come. Investigators now focus on confirming identity and determining cause of death. The findings will help close the case and provide some answers to those left behind. For a community scarred by loss, this marks the final tragic chapter in a harrowing story. The Decker case drew national attention, but many families in Washington still wait for answers. Cases like Christina Ace, Shelby Lynn Dwyer, and Chance Anthony Carson remain unresolved, their families living in limbo. Some disappearances, like Mary Johnson's, highlight the crisis of missing Indigenous people. The story of Lindsay Baum reminds us that closure can take years, if it comes at all. Law enforcement and advocacy groups persist, using new technology and relentless determination. The Decker case brought swift resolution, but for many, the search continues. Every missing person deserves to be found, and every family deserves closure. Their stories remind us to keep all missing persons in the public eye. The discovery of Decker's remains is a turning point, but healing for the family will take a lifetime. The community's support must continue, shifting from public vigils to long-term compassion and respect for privacy. Law enforcement's dedication brought the manhunt to a close, but their work continues for countless other families. This tragedy is a stark reminder of life's fragility and the need to protect the vulnerable. Justice may not look as many hoped, but the focus now shifts to honoring Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. Their memory inspires love, unity, and the pursuit of peace in the face of darkness. The community's resilience will be their legacy as they strive to heal and remember.